the girl who measured happiness in applause. In a small town, nestled between rolling hills and a sky that seemed to stretch into eternity, lived a woman named Alara. Her life, like a carefully tended garden, was beautiful on the surface. She was known for her kindness, her ever-present smile, and the way she seemed to effortlessly please everyone she met. But beneath this serene exterior, a quiet storm was brewing. Alara's days were a performance. Every word she spoke, every choice she made, was a silent question posed to the world. Am I good enough? Do you approve? The applause she sought was the flicker of a smile from a stranger, a nod of agreement from a colleague, a word of praise from a friend. Her own reflection was a stranger. She only saw herself through the eyes of others. Her home was a testament to this endless search. The books on her shelves were the ones celebrated by critics, not the ones her heart longed to read. The paintings on her walls were chosen for their perceived sophistication, not for the joy they sparked within her. Her very life was a collage of other people's expectations, a mosaic of borrowed dreams. One crisp autumn morning, Alara took her usual walk by the old oak tree at the edge of town. This tree was ancient, its branches gnarled and twisted, reaching for the sky in a beautifully chaotic dance. It didn't strive to be straight like a pine or delicate like a willow. It was simply, unapologetically, an oak. That day, a fierce wind swept through the valley. The younger, more pliable trees bent and swayed, desperately trying to appease the gale, but the old oak stood its ground. It lost a few leaves, a small branch even, but its core, its essence, remained unshaken. It didn't fight the wind. It simply allowed the wind to be while it continued to be itself. Watching this, something shifted within Alara. A profound silence fell over the noisy theater of her mind. She saw herself in that moment, constantly bending, constantly swaying, terrified of losing a single leaf of approval. She had spent a lifetime trying to be weatherproof, forgetting that the strength was not in avoiding the storm, but in having roots deep enough to withstand it. She walked home, but this time her steps felt different. They were heavier, more grounded. She entered her house, and for the first time she truly saw it. She saw the silent screams of her own desires, buried beneath layers of shoulds and musts. A quiet revolution began. That afternoon, she took down the critically acclaimed painting from her living room wall. In its place, she hung a simple, clumsy watercolor she had painted as a child. A messy, vibrant sunset that she had always loved. It was imperfect. It was hers. She pulled a dusty, worn-out fantasy novel from the back of her closet, its pages filled with dragons and magic, and began to read, ignoring the unread classics on her nightstand. The change was subtle at first, imperceptible to most. She began to say no, not with anger or defiance, but with a quiet, calm certainty. No, I'm not available that evening. No, that doesn't really interest me. Each no to the world was a profound yes to herself. Some people were confused. Her carefully constructed image began to crack. Some friends drifted away, uncomfortable with the version of Alara that no longer mirrored their expectations. And it hurt. Losing those leaves, those branches, was painful. The phantom itch of needing approval lingered. In moments of doubt, she would return to the old oak tree. She would press her hand against its rough bark and feel the steady, ancient pulse of its existence. It didn't need her approval to stand tall. It didn't need the sun's permission to reach for the sky, and just was. Slowly, miraculously, new things began to grow in the spaces left behind. She discovered a love for pottery, the feeling of clay spinning beneath her hands, shaping something from nothing, purely for her own joy. Her creations were lopsided, gloriously imperfect, and she loved them more than anything she had ever owned. She met new people, drawn not to the person she was trying to be, but to the person she was becoming. Her laughter became louder and more genuine. Her smile no longer asked a question. It made a statement. The day she stopped seeking validation wasn't a loud, dramatic event. There was no thunder or applause. It was a quiet, internal sunrise. It was the moment she realized that she was not a project to be completed or a puzzle to be solved by others. She was a universe to be explored. She understood that seeking validation is like trying to quench a thirst with salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. True fulfillment, she learned, is the fresh, cool spring that bubbles up from within. Her life was no longer a performance for a faceless audience. It was a dance. A sometimes clumsy, sometimes graceful, but always authentic dance with her own soul. She learned that the most important opinion she would ever hear was the quiet whisper of her own heart. And in the profound silence of self-acceptance, she finally heard its voice. It didn't say, "You are perfect." It said, "You are enough." And for Alara, that was everything. So I ask you, what walls have you built with the bricks of others' opinions? What passions have you silenced to keep the peace? Maybe today is your day. The day you take a walk and see the unapologetic strength of an old oak tree. The day you take down one painting, read one chapter, say one no, that is a resounding yes to you. Because the moment you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself is the moment you finally come home. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more moments of reflection. Be kind to yourself today.